Hello there and welcome. Tonight, we are going to shrink down to enter a world of perfect geometry and golden light. We are entering the hive. We are going to talk about bees. You might think of them as simple insects buzzing in the garden. But tonight, we will discover that they are actually solar-powered biological engines capable of visiting 2 million flowers just to create a single pound of honey. We will listen to the secret frequency of the hive, a collective hum that vibrates at exactly 432 Hz, the same frequency often used in deep meditation music. We will learn how they act as the architects of the natural world, building structures out of wax that are mathematically perfect, using a geometry that creates the strongest possible storage with the least possible material, and we will trace their lineage back 100 million years to the moment a wasp decided to stop hunting and start gathering, changing the history of the planet forever. But these facts are not a lesson. They are a warm breeze. They are the slow, hypnotic rhythm of a summer afternoon that never ends. So let the tension of the day melt away like wax in the sun. Imagine you are lying in a field of lavender. The air is warm and smells of sweet nectar. The light is golden and soft. Take a slow, deep breath in, inhaling the perfume of the earth. And as you exhale, feel your body sinking into the grass, heavy and relaxed. You are safe. You are part of the garden, and our journey into the golden world is ready to begin. When we see a bee darting from flower to flower, we are witnessing a feat of biological engineering that rivals any machine humans have ever built. A honeybee is, in essence, a solar-powered engine. It runs on the concentrated energy of the sun, distilled into nectar by plants. The fuel efficiency is staggering. A bee can fly for 5 million miles on a single gallon of honey. But the work required to gather that fuel is immense. To make just 1 pound of honey, a single jar in your cupboard, the bees of a hive must fly a combined distance equal to orbiting the Earth 3 times. They must visit 2 million individual flowers. Every drop of gold you see is the physical manifestation of millions of tiny journeys, a liquid battery storing the sunlight of 1,000 summer days. If you stand close to a beehive, you do not hear a chaotic noise. You hear a steady, resonant drone. This is the hum. It is not the sound of voices, it is the sound of movement. It is created by the rapid beating of thousands of wings, moving at over 200 beats per second. But there is a secret to this sound. Musicians and physicists have noted that the collective hum of a contented hive often vibrates at the frequency of 432 Hz. In music theory, this pitch is known as Verdi's A, and it is mathematically consistent with the patterns of the universe. Many cultures believe this specific frequency promotes deep relaxation and healing in the human body. When you listen to a hive, you are not just hearing insects. You are listening to a living mantra, a natural Om, chanted by 50,000 beings in perfect unison. There is a famous story in aviation history that says, according to the laws of aerodynamics, a bumblebee should not be able to fly. Its body is too heavy, its wings are too small. Mathematically, it should remain on the ground. Of course, the bee flies anyway. The secret lies in how it moves. Birds and airplanes fly by flowing air over a smooth wing to create lift. But bees do not flap, they row. They sweep their wings back and forth like oars in water, creating tiny, powerful hurricanes of air, miniature vortices above their wings. These vortices create a low-pressure zone that sucks the bee upward. They are not gliding, they are swimming through the air, defying gravity with brute force and elegant turbulence, a tiny storm conquering the sky. If you look at a piece of honeycomb, you see a grid of perfect hexagons. This shape is not an accident, it is a mathematical necessity. For thousands of years, philosophers and mathematicians marveled at why bees chose this specific six-sided form. Why not circles? Why not squares? The answer lies in efficiency. If the bees used circles, there would be wasted gaps between the cells. If they used squares or triangles, the structure would be weak. The hexagon is the Goldilocks of geometry. It uses the absolute minimum amount of wax to create the maximum amount of storage space while providing incredible structural strength. A honeycomb weighing just a few ounces can support several pounds of heavy honey. The bees solved a complex engineering problem millions of years before humans invented calculus, building walls that are mathematically optimal in the dark. How do they build these walls without tools? They use their own bodies. When a new comb needs to be built, the bees engage in a behavior called festooning. They hang from the ceiling of the hive, holding onto each other's legs to form long, living chains. These chains drape down like heavy velvet curtains. Inside this living scaffold, the bees generate heat. They vibrate their wing muscles to raise the temperature of the cluster, softening the wax so it can be molded. It is a collaborative act of creation where the workers become the ladder, the measuring tape, and the oven all at once, a silent architecture built from the bodies of the builders themselves. We often assume bees gather wax from flowers like they gather pollen. But wax is not found, it is made. It comes from within. On the underside of a young worker bee's abdomen, there are special glands. When the bee consumes honey and hangs in the warm festoon cluster, these glands begin to secrete liquid wax. This liquid hardens instantly upon contact with the air, forming tiny transparent flakes or scales. These scales look like small shards of glass or mica. Other bees gently remove these flakes from their sisters' bellies, chew them to soften them, and then place them precisely onto the growing comb. The walls of the hive are literally built from the sweat of the colony, a substance transmuted from sunlight and sugar into solid form. A beehive is warm, crowded, and humid, the perfect breeding ground for bacteria. Yet a healthy hive is sterile, often cleaner than a hospital operating room. The secret is a substance called propolis, or bee glue. Bees collect sticky resins from the buds of poplar and pine trees. They mix this resin with their own enzymes to create a dark, sticky varnish. They paint the walls of the hive with it. Propolis is highly antibacterial, antifungal, and antiviral. It acts as an external immune system. If a mouse or a large intruder dies inside the hive and is too heavy to carry out, the bees will encase the entire body in propolis, mummifying it perfectly to prevent decay from spreading. It is the seal of safety, wrapping the colony in a protective, medicinal shell. For centuries, humans tried to keep bees in boxes, but it was a mess. The bees would glue everything together. Then, in 1851, a clergyman named Lorenzo Langstroth discovered a secret rule that the bees never break. It is called the bee space. He realized that bees always leave a gap of exactly 3/8 of an inch, about 9 millimeters, between their combs. If a space is smaller than this, they seal it with propolis. If it is larger, they fill it with wax comb. But if the space is exactly 9 millimeters, they leave it open as a corridor. This precision is hardwired into their genetics. It is the traffic law of the hive, a universal constant that ensures every bee has room to work, to pass, and to flow like water through the city of wax. When we look at a hive, we see 50,000 insects crawling over one another. It looks chaotic, but biologists view a beehive differently. They do not see thousands of animals, they see one. A honeybee colony is a superorganism. In this view, an individual bee is not an independent creature. It is merely a cell in a larger body. The bees share a digestive system by passing food to one another. They share a nervous system by chemical signaling. No single bee can survive alone for more than a few hours, just as a single blood cell cannot survive outside the body. The hive thinks, decides, and acts as a single unified intelligence, a fluid brain made of 50,000 moving parts. At the center of this swirling darkness lives the queen. Her title is misleading. She does not rule. She does not give orders. She is, in fact, the servant of the colony, bound to the hive by duty. She is physically distinct, longer and larger than any other bee. She has no tools for gathering pollen, and she cannot make wax. Her sole purpose is life. During the height of summer, she is an egg-laying machine, depositing up to 2,000 eggs a day, more than her own body weight. But her most important job is invisible. She produces a complex chemical perfume called the queen mandibular pheromone. This scent is passed from bee to bee by touch. It spreads through the hive like a calming drug, suppressing the ovaries of the workers and signaling that the mother is alive, the colony is healthy, and the unity is intact. The vast majority of the bees you see, the ones visiting flowers, guarding the entrance and building the comb, are female. These are the workers. A worker bee lives a life of constant transformation, changing her career as she ages. When she is born, she is a cleaner, tidying the cells. Then she becomes a nurse, feeding the larvae. As her glands develop, she becomes a builder, producing wax. Later, she moves to the entrance to become a guard. Finally, in the last weeks of her life, she graduates to the most dangerous job of all, a forager. She leaves the safety of the hive to fly into the world. In the busy summer, a worker works so hard that her wings literally fray and fail. She lives only about 6 weeks. She is a creature of total devotion, giving every ounce of her energy to a sisterhood she will never see grow up. And then there are the males. They are called drones. They look different, thick, barrel-chested, with enormous eyes that touch at the top of their heads. They have no stinger. They do no work. They do not clean, build, or forage. They cannot even feed themselves. They must beg food from their sisters. Their life is one of singular purpose. On warm afternoons, they fly out to specific congregation areas high in the air, waiting for a young queen from another hive to fly by. They exist solely to pass on their genetics, but their life has a melancholy end. As autumn approaches and the flowers die, the colony prepares for the lean times of winter. The workers stop feeding the drones. In a silent, stoic act of survival, the sisters gently but firmly escort their brothers out of the hive. The drones are left outside in the cold, their purpose fulfilled, sacrificed so that the rest of the family can survive the winter on the limited honey stores. Inside the hive, it is pitch black. Yet, bees possess the only symbolic language in the animal kingdom outside of humanity. They talk to each other, not with voices, but with geometry. This is the waggle dance. When a forager finds a rich patch of clover, she returns to the hive and climbs onto the vertical comb. In the dark, surrounded by her sisters, she begins to vibrate. She runs in a figure-8 pattern. The angle of her run relative to gravity tells the other bees the exact angle they must fly relative to the sun. The duration of her waggle, the vibrating run, tells them the exact distance. It is advanced trigonometry performed in the dark. A bee can watch this dance and know that she must fly exactly 3 miles southeast to find food. It is a map drawn in motion, a silent broadcast of coordinates that guides the colony across the landscape. We see a garden filled with yellow dandelions and white daisies, but a bee sees a different world. Their eyes are shifted toward the ultraviolet end of the spectrum. They cannot see the color red. To them, it looks black. But they can see ultraviolet light, which is invisible to us. Flowers have evolved to exploit this. If you look at a daisy under UV light, the plain white petals reveal a dark, vivid bullseye pattern in the center, pointing directly to the nectar. To a bee, a meadow is not a collection of solid colors, it is a landscape of glowing landing strips, arrows, and targets. The flowers are painting secret signs in the air, guiding the pollinators in with a visual language that human eyes have never seen. Perhaps the most sci-fi sense of all is their ability to feel electricity. As a bee flies through the air, the friction of the wind strips electrons from her body, giving her a positive static charge. Flowers, connected to the earth, have a slight negative charge. When a bee lands on a flower, this difference causes the pollen to literally jump from the plant to the bee, snapping onto her fur like a magnet. But the bee can also feel this charge. Before she even lands, she can sense the electric field of the flower. If another bee has visited the flower recently, the charge will be depleted. The bee can sense this empty signal while hovering and will fly away without wasting energy landing. They are navigating an invisible electric landscape, reading the voltage of the garden. With 50,000 bees in a single box, identity is crucial. How do they know who belongs? The answer is scent. Every hive has a unique chemical signature, a specific blend of pheromones generated by the queen and the food they are processing. At the entrance of the hive, there are guard bees. They stand on their back legs, inspecting every incoming flyer. They do not look at faces, they smell them. If an incoming bee carries the scent of the colony, she is welcomed. If she carries the scent of a strange hive, she is blocked. This scent is the password, a complex chemical ID card that every sister wears, ensuring that the resources of the family are protected from the chaos of the outside world. Honey is unique among all the foods humans eat. It is the only food that includes all the substances necessary to sustain life, including enzymes, vitamins, minerals, and water. But its most remarkable property is its relationship with time. Honey does not spoil. It is eternal. Archaeologists excavating the ancient tombs of Egyptian pharaohs have found pots of honey sealed in the dark for over 3,000 years. When they opened these jars, the honey was crystallized, but it was still perfectly edible. Because of its low water content and acidic pH, honey creates an environment where bacteria simply cannot live. It is a biological time capsule. A jar of honey sitting in your cupboard is not just a sweet treat. It is a substance that has effectively conquered the process of decay, remaining suspended in a state of golden perfection forever. The liquid inside a flower is not honey, it is nectar. Nectar is thin, watery, and prone to spoiling. The transformation from this thin water to thick gold is a feat of chemistry and hard labor. When a forager brings nectar home, she passes it to a house bee. This bee takes the nectar into her mouth and adds enzymes that break down the complex sugars. But the crucial step is dehydration. The bees spread the nectar into the honeycomb cells, but it is still too wet. So they turn themselves into living fans. Thousands of bees stand over the open cells and beat their wings furiously. This creates a massive airflow through the hive, evaporating the water from the nectar until it thickens into the viscous syrup we know. Honey is, quite literally, nectar that has been fanned by the wings of 10,000 sisters until it became gold. We often say bees eat nectar, but this is technically incorrect. If they ate it, they would digest it for energy. Instead, they carry it. A bee has a special anatomical feature called the honey stomach or crop. This is a separate storage tank located before the digestive stomach. It is a dedicated cargo hold. A bee can carry almost her own body weight in nectar inside this vault. A special valve prevents the nectar from passing into her actual stomach unless she is starving and needs a tiny bit of fuel for the flight home. This means the honey we eat has never been truly digested by the bee. It has simply been transported in a sterile biological backpack designed solely for the safe delivery of the precious cargo. Because honey is made from nectar, it carries the fingerprint of its origin. It is the liquid memory of a landscape. If the bees forage on clover, the honey is light and mild. If they visit buckwheat, it is dark and malty like molasses. If they visit orange groves, the honey tastes of citrus. This concept is similar to terroir in wine. A jar of honey contains the specific weather, the soil conditions, and the bloom of a specific valley in a specific season. When you taste honey, you are tasting a map. You are experiencing the collective sensory input of the hive as they traveled through the world during those specific weeks of summer. When we imagine a bee, we almost always picture the honeybee, a social creature living in a crowded city of 50,000 sisters. But this image represents a tiny fraction of reality. In the wild, 90% of all bee species are solitary. They have no hive, they have no queen to serve, they have no honey to guard. These are the solitary bees. Examples include the mason bee, the leafcutter bee, and the mining bee. Their lives are defined not by the collective, but by independence. A female solitary bee is a single mother. She builds her own small nest, often finding a hollow reed, an empty snail shell, or digging a quiet tunnel into a sandy bank. She gathers pollen, lays an egg, seals the chamber, and flies away. She will never see her offspring. Her life is a quiet, private mission of ensuring the next generation survives, performed without the support or the noise of a colony. They are the silent majority of the pollinating world, working unnoticed in every garden. Because solitary bees do not have a hive to return to at night, they must find shelter in the wild. This leads to one of the most charming behaviors in the animal kingdom. Some species, like the globe mallow bee, have evolved to use flowers not just as a food source, but as a bedroom. As the sun sets and the air cools, these bees look for a specific type of flower, often one that closes its petals at night, like a tulip or a mallow. The bee lands inside the cup of the flower. As the light fades, the flower responds to the darkness by slowly curling its petals shut, a process called nyctinasty. The bee is wrapped inside a secure, fragrant and colorful blanket. It effectively tucks itself in. In the early morning, you can sometimes find them curled up around the center of the flower, motionless and covered in pollen, waiting for the warmth of the sun to open the curtains of their bed so they can begin their day. If the honeybee is an efficient jet fighter, the bumblebee is a fuzzy cargo plane. They are large, round and covered in dense hair called pile. This fur is not just for looks, it is insulation. Bumblebees are adapted for the cold. While honeybees stay inside if the temperature drops below 50 degrees, bumblebees can be seen flying in the mist, the rain, and even light snow. They have a superpower called thermoregulation. A bumblebee can disconnect its wing muscles from its wings and vibrate them rapidly without flying. This shivering generates intense internal heat, warming the bee's thorax to over 80 degrees even on a freezing day. This allows them to be the first risers in spring, visiting the earliest snowdrops and crocuses long before other insects have thawed out. They are the warm-blooded engines of the cold season. If you see a large, shiny black bee hovering near the eaves of a wooden porch, you are likely seeing a carpenter bee. Unlike termites that eat wood, these bees are master woodworkers. They use their powerful mandibles to vibrate against the wood, drilling a hole that is perfectly, mathematically circular, so precise it looks like it was made with a power drill. Once inside, they do not just dig a hole, they construct a complex nursery. They drill a tunnel, then make a right-angle turn to follow the grain of the wood, creating a gallery of safe chambers. They do not damage the structural integrity of the tree. They simply repurpose a small part of it. Interestingly, these tunnels are often reused by the next generation. A daughter might inherit her mother's tunnel, cleaning it out and expanding it slightly. These nests become family heirlooms, hidden inside the branches of old oaks or the rafters of old barns, silent corridors of life carved into dead wood. Some flowers hold onto their pollen tightly. A tomato flower, for instance, hides its pollen inside a tube. A regular honeybee cannot reach it, but the bumblebee has a key. It lands on the flower, bites down on the petal to hold on tight, and then vibrates its flight muscles at a specific high frequency. This creates a resonant buzz, a middle C note, that shakes the entire flower. The vibration is so intense that it blasts the pollen out of the tube like pepper from a shaker, covering the bee in yellow dust. This is called sonication or buzz pollination. It is a reminder that nature sometimes requires force. The bumblebee literally screams at the flower until it releases its treasure, unlocking food that is forbidden to everyone else. To understand the bee, we must look at its fierce ancestor. 130 million years ago, during the Cretaceous period, there were no bees. The skies were ruled by wasps. These were carnivorous hunters, sleek and aggressive, spending their days capturing other insects to feed protein to their larvae. But then a magnificent accident occurred. Some of these hunting wasps began to prey on small insects like thrips or beetles that were visiting the early primitive flowers of that era. When the wasps caught these bugs, the prey was covered in yellow dust, pollen. The wasps fed this pollen-coated prey to their offspring. Over thousands of generations, the larvae began to thrive not just on the meat, but on the pollen itself. Pollen is rich in protein and fat. Slowly, the wasps realized they did not need the middleman. They did not need to hunt the bug. They could just harvest the dust. They stopped killing and started gathering. They grew hairier to trap the pollen better. They developed baskets on their legs. The bee is, in evolutionary terms, a wasp that forgot how to hunt. It is a vegetarian pacifist that traded the violence of predation for the peaceful rhythm of the garden. How do we know this history? The evidence is preserved in golden tombs. In the Hukong Valley of Myanmar, miners have found pieces of amber, fossilized tree resin dating back 100 million years. Inside one of these lumps of ancient resin is a creature frozen in a moment of time. It is Melitosphex burmensis, the oldest known bee fossil. It is tiny, trapped forever in a golden twilight. Looking at it through a microscope, you can see the transition. It still has the slender legs of a wasp, but it is covered in the distinct branched hairs of a bee. It is the missing link. This fossil tells us that the design of the bee was perfected eons ago. While dinosaurs rose and fell, while ice ages came and went, and while continents drifted apart, the bee remained largely unchanged, a perfect biological machine locked in amber, waiting for us to discover it. Before the bee, the world looked very different. It was a planet of green and brown. Ferns, cycads and pines dominated the landscape. These plants relied on the wind to carry their pollen. Wind is random. It is inefficient. Because wind-pollinated plants do not need to attract anyone, they have no need for showy petals, sweet scents, or bright colors. The world was drab. But with the arrival of the bee, the plants began to change. To attract these efficient couriers, plants had to advertise. They developed nectar as a payment. They developed bright pigments, red, purple, blue, to stand out against the green. They developed perfumes to signal their location. This sudden, rapid diversification is known as the angiosperm radiation. It was an explosion of color. The bee did not just live in the world, it decorated it. Every splash of color you see in a meadow, every fragrant rose and bright tulip exists solely because a plant was trying to catch the eye of a passing bee. This relationship became so intimate that some species locked their destinies together completely. This is called co-evolution. The shapes of flowers began to morph to fit the bodies of specific bees. Consider the orchid. Some orchids have evolved complex trapdoors and tunnels that only a specific species of bee can navigate. Some have evolved to look and smell exactly like a female bee, tricking the male bee into trying to mate with the flower, covering him in pollen in the process. There are tube flowers that are exactly the length of a specific hummingbird moth's tongue. It is a biological lock and key system. If the bee goes extinct, the flower dies. If the flower vanishes, the bee starves. They are dancing a tango that has lasted for millions of years, holding each other so tightly that they cannot let go without both falling. We are not the first creatures to rob the hive. The desire for honey is older than humanity. In ancient rock shelters in Spain, specifically the spider caves of Valencia, there is a painting that is 8,000 years old. It depicts a simple stick figure climbing a long, precarious ladder of vines up a cliff face. At the top, the figure is reaching into a hole in the rock, surrounded by a cloud of buzzing dots. It is a Stone Age honey hunter. Even then, at the dawn of our history, we were willing to risk falling to our deaths for a taste of that sweetness. The bee has been our companion, our livestock, and our mystery since before we built the first city. We have walked out of the caves and into skyscrapers, but our relationship with the hive remains exactly the same. We are the giants who come for the gold. For the hive, winter is a siege, and spring is the liberation. It begins with a subtle shift in the angle of the sun. As the days lengthen and the temperature inside the hollow tree or the wooden box rises above 50 degrees, the colony wakes from its torpor. The first event is the cleansing flight. Bees are fastidiously clean creatures. They refuse to soil the inside of their home. For months during the deep cold, they have held their waste. On the first warm day, thousands of bees burst from the entrance in a golden cloud, soaring into the air to relieve themselves and to scout the land. They return with the first news of the world. The pussy willow is blooming. The crocuses are open. This signals the queen to begin her work. She ramps up egg-laying from 0 to 2,000 a day. The hive shifts into a frenzy of growth, expanding explosively to match the rising sap of the waking forests. By the time the summer solstice arrives, the hive is a roaring engine of productivity. This is the honey flow. The days are long and the nectar is abundant. The population of the city swells to 60,000 souls. Inside the dark box, the temperature is regulated with obsessive precision. To raise the brood, the nursery must be kept at exactly 95 degrees Fahrenheit, the temperature of human blood. If it gets too hot, workers line up at the entrance and beat their wings to pump cool air in. If it gets too dry, they fetch water to hang in droplets that act as evaporative coolers. The hive is a climate-controlled fortress, maintaining a tropical humidity and heat even if a storm is raging outside. It is a time of endless labor, a race against the sun to stockpile the energy that will be needed when the light fails. As autumn fades and the first frost kills the flowers, the colony faces a crisis. They are tropical insects living in a temperate world. Individually, a bee will freeze to death in minutes, but together they can defy the laws of thermodynamics. They do not hibernate. Instead, they form the winter cluster. As the temperature drops, the bees crawl closer and closer together. They interlock their legs and bodies, forming a dense, solid ball of insects. At the very center of this sphere is the queen, kept safe and warm. This ball is not static. It is a living, breathing furnace. The bees break open the honey stores they worked so hard to gather in July, consuming the sugar to fuel their internal fires. They are burning the summer to survive the winter. How does a cold-blooded insect generate heat? They possess a remarkable biological switch. A heater bee can mechanically disconnect her wings from her flight muscles. She essentially puts her engine in neutral. Then, she begins to vibrate those massive thoracic muscles rapidly, without moving her wings. This shivering burns calories at a tremendous rate. A single bee can raise her body temperature to 111 degrees Fahrenheit. Imagine thousands of bees doing this simultaneously. The heat radiates from their thoraxes, warming their neighbors, trapping a bubble of tropical air inside the cluster. While the snow piles up outside and the wind howls at sub-zero temperatures, the heart of the cluster remains as warm as a summer day. But what of the bees on the outside? The mantle of the cluster is exposed to the freezing air. They form a tightly packed insulating shell facing inward, their backs to the cold. They are the shield. If they stayed there, they would die. So the cluster performs a slow-motion rotation. A bee on the cold outer edge will slowly push her way into the center, seeking the warmth. At the same time, a warm bee from the center will drift outward to take her turn on the perimeter. It is a continuous, altruistic convection current of bodies. No bee is left in the cold for too long. No bee hogs the warmth forever. It is the ultimate expression of the superorganism, shared sacrifice, shared warmth, and a collective refusal to freeze. Our relationship with the bee is older than civilization itself. Before we planted the first grain of wheat, before we built the first mud wall, we were already following the hum. The proof is painted on stone. In the spider caves of Valencia, in eastern Spain, there is a faded red painting that dates back 8,000 years to the Mesolithic era. It depicts a simple stick-figure human climbing a long, precarious ladder made of woven grass or vines. At the top, the figure is reaching into a natural crevice in the cliff face. Surrounding the figure's head is a halo of oversized, buzzing dots. It is the first recorded image of a honey harvest. The figure has no suit, no veil, no smoker. It is a testament to a primal desire, the willingness to risk pain and gravity for the singular reward of sweetness in a world that had no sugar. We were stealing gold from the rock long before we knew what metal was. In the folklore of rural England and parts of America, there existed a custom of profound respect known as telling the bees. It was rooted in the belief that bees were not just insects, but messengers between worlds, possessing a deep psychic connection to their keepers. When a member of the household died, it was considered critical to inform the hive. A family member would walk out to the garden, tap gently 3 times on the wooden box with a key, and whisper the news: "The master is dead." They would then drape the hive in black crepe or cloth. The superstition held that if the bees were not told, they would feel the offense of being excluded from the family's grief. They would stop producing honey, or worse, the entire swarm would abandon the hive and fly away, leaving the garden silent. It is a tradition that speaks to a time when we viewed nature not as a resource, but as a member of the family that deserved to know our sorrow. When Napoleon Bonaparte crowned himself Emperor of France, he needed a symbol. He wanted to distance himself from the fleur-de-lis of the old French monarchy. He wanted something older, something that represented industry, immortality, and resurrection. He chose the bee. He was inspired by the discovery of the tomb of Childeric I, an ancient king of the Franks from the 5th century. Inside the tomb, archaeologists found 300 tiny bees made of solid gold with garnet wings. Napoleon adopted this ancient emblem. He had his coronation robes embroidered with hundreds of golden bees. To him, the hive was the ideal model for the empire, a place of perfect order where every individual worked tirelessly for the glory of the state and where the leader was the center of all life. He turned the humble insect into a symbol of imperial power. Across the ocean, in the tropical rainforests of the Yucatan, the ancient Maya revered a different kind of bee. This is the Melipona, the royal lady bee. She is smaller than a honeybee, has bright blue eyes, and most importantly, she has no stinger. The Maya believed these bees were sacred gifts from the god Amuzen-Kab, the diving god of bees. They did not keep them in boxes, but in hollowed-out logs called jobones, stacked in pyramids. The honey of the Melipona is distinct, thinner, more acidic, with a citrusy tang. It was used not just as food, but as medicine to cure eye infections and as a sacramental drink during religious ceremonies. The relationship was one of reverence. The beekeeper was a priest, the hive was a temple, and the harvest was a holy act performed with gratitude to the small, defenseless creatures that turned the jungle into medicine. In the Christian tradition, the patron saint of beekeepers is Saint Ambrose. The legend of his life connects him to the hive from infancy. It is said that when Ambrose was a baby, sleeping in his cradle in the courtyard, a swarm of bees suddenly descended upon him. The nurse watched in terror as the bees landed on the infant's face, but they did not sting. Instead, they crawled over his lips and dripped a drop of honey into his mouth before flying away into the sky. This was interpreted as a sign that his words would be sweet and persuasive like honey. It is a beautiful image. The idea that wisdom and eloquence are gifts delivered by the gentle touch of a swarm, a blessing of sweetness bestowed upon the innocent. Every bee begins as a solitary point of potential. In the darkness of the brood nest, the queen moves slowly across the comb. She inspects an empty hexagonal cell, measuring its width with her front legs to ensure it is perfect. Satisfied, she backs into the cell and deposits a single egg. It is tiny, white, and cylindrical, looking remarkably like a grain of rice, but smaller, about half the size of a grain of rice. It stands vertically, glued to the bottom of the cell by a tiny secretion. For 3 days, it does nothing visible. It simply waits in the warm dark. But inside that shell, the blueprint of life is unfolding. It is a pearl in the dark, a suspended moment of calm before the furious energy of growth begins. On the 4th day, the shell dissolves and the egg lies down. A larva emerges. It is a small, white, C-shaped grub with no legs and no eyes. It looks helpless, but it has a voracious appetite. The nurse bees rush to feed it. They do not feed it honey yet. They feed it a substance produced from glands in their own heads, a rich, white, protein-packed liquid called royal jelly, or bee milk. For the first few days, the larva floats in a pool of this milk. The growth rate is staggering. Within 6 days, the larva increases its body weight by 1,500 times. If a human baby grew at this rate, it would weigh as much as an elephant after 1 week. It is an explosion of biological mass, fueled by the concentrated essence of the colony's labor. By the 9th day, the larva has grown so fat that it fills the entire cell. It stretches out lengthwise. The nurse bees, sensing the time has come, seal the top of the cell with a porous capping of wax. The larva is now entombed. Inside this private chamber, the larva does something remarkable. It spins a cocoon. Using a gland near its mouth, it weaves a delicate silken sleeping bag around itself. Then, the great transformation begins. The body of the larva breaks down. It effectively melts into a biological soup. But floating in this soup are tiny clusters of cells called imaginal discs. These are the seeds of the adult body. They begin to reorganize the fluid. They build legs, wings, antennae, and eyes out of the liquid chaos. It is a silent reconstruction, a creature dissolving itself to build a pilot out of the raw materials of a grub. After 12 days of sleep in the dark, 21 days since the egg was laid, the metamorphosis is complete. The creature inside is no longer a soft white grub. It is a bee. She begins to chew. Using her new, hard mandibles, she cuts a circle in the wax capping above her head. It is a slow struggle. Finally, she pushes her head through. She pulls herself out onto the surface of the comb. She is teneral, soft and vulnerable. Her hairs are not yet gold. They are a soft, ghostly grey silver. Her wings are crumpled and wet. She stands there for a moment, trembling, while her sisters rush over to clean her, grooming her fur and offering her a drop of honey. She has been born into the city, ready to begin her life of service. For centuries, observers watched the ceaseless activity of the hive and assumed that bees were robots, creatures that never rested. But modern science has revealed a tender truth. Bees sleep, and they sleep deeply. If you look closely at a honeycomb in the middle of the night, you will see workers standing still. But their posture changes. A wide-awake bee holds her antennae forward, rigid and alert, sensing the air. A sleeping bee lets her antennae drop. Her head droops, her legs relax, and her body sags slightly toward the wax. They take power naps throughout the day and night. The hive never fully sleeps. Someone is always awake to guard or clean, but the individuals take turns drifting into the quiet. Sleep in the hive is not equal. The young nurse bees who stay inside are light sleepers. They nap frequently but wake up at the slightest vibration. They are like new parents, always listening for the needs of the brood. But the foragers, the older bees who fly miles every day to gather nectar, sleep differently. At night, they retreat to the edge of the comb, away from the noisy nursery. They fall into a deep, restorative slumber. Researchers have found that it is difficult to wake them up. You have to shine a bright light on them or shake the comb vigorously. Their exhaustion is profound. Their brains need this deep disconnect to consolidate the memories of the landscape, storing the maps of flowers and landmarks they learned during the day. Do they dream? We cannot ask them, but the evidence is compelling. During deep sleep, a bee's antennae will sometimes twitch and jerk rapidly. This is the insect equivalent of REM sleep, rapid eye movement. Neuroscientists believe that during this phase, the bee's brain is replaying the day. The neurons that fired while she was flying over a meadow of clover are firing again in the dark. She is practicing the route. She is remembering the smell of the lavender. In the safety of the hive, surrounded by the hum of her sisters, the sleeping bee is still flying, navigating a dreamscape of infinite flowers and eternal sunshine. We call it pollination, a scientific term for a biological necessity. But if you could shrink down and watch it happen, it would look like an explosion. When a bee lands on a flower, she is not trying to pollinate it. She is there for the nectar, the sugar water deep in the cup. Pollination is a beautiful accident. As she rummages inside the petals, her fuzzy body brushes against the anthers of the flower. Remember the static electricity we spoke of? That charge causes the pollen grains to literally jump off the plant and snap onto the bee's fur. Thousands of tiny golden grains cling to her hairs. She becomes a ghost of gold. When she flies to the next flower, some of this dust falls off, fertilizing the plant. It is a chaotic, messy transfer of life. The bee is the unknowing matchmaker of the botanical world, trailing a cloud of golden smoke that turns a silent garden into a future harvest. But the bee does not want to lose all this pollen. Pollen is protein. It is the meat and the muscle of the hive. To carry it home, she uses a specialized tool located on her hind legs. It is called the corbicula or pollen basket. It is not a basket woven of straw, but a concave, smooth, shiny depression on her leg, surrounded by stiff, curved hairs. While flying, the bee performs a mid-air acrobatic routine. She uses her front legs to comb the pollen from her face and body. She mixes this dry dust with a tiny bit of sticky nectar to create a paste. She packs this paste into the baskets on her legs. If you look closely at a bee flying home, you will see these large, bright yellow or orange balls on her rear legs. They look like heavy saddlebags. She is carrying the raw material of the next generation, a heavy cargo of pure energy, balanced perfectly as she navigates the wind. Bees need more than sugar. They need water. They need it to cool the hive and to dilute the honey for the larvae. The most peaceful time to witness this is in the very early morning, just as the sun is breaking the horizon. Before the flowers fully open, the world is covered in dew. The bees leave the hive in the cool, grey light. They do not go to the river, they go to the leaves. A bee will land gently on a broad green leaf where a single perfect sphere of water sits trembling. She extends her proboscis, a straw-like tongue, and touches the surface tension of the drop. She drinks. In the quiet of the dawn, before the birds begin to sing, the garden is filled with these silent drinkers, sipping the distilled breath of the night from the cups of the leaves. We see a flower as a splash of color, red, yellow, or white. But the flower is not painting itself for us. It is painting itself for the bee, and the bee sees a spectrum we cannot. If we could look through the eyes of a bee, the garden would transform. Many flowers that appear plain white to us have petals that absorb ultraviolet light. To a bee, the center of the flower glows with a dark, intense saturation, while the outer petals shine brightly. This creates a bullseye effect, a glowing target or a set of runway lights guiding the pilot directly to the nectar. The petals often have lines, nectar guides, that act like arrows on a road. The flower is not just sitting there, it is shouting in a language of light, directing the traffic of the insects with visual cues that have been refined over millions of years of coevolution. Now, let us leave the light and go into the dark. Imagine you can shrink down and walk inside the entrance of the hive. The first thing that hits you is the smell. It is a thick, intoxicating perfume of warm wax, fermenting honey, pine resin, and the musk of thousands of bodies. The air is hot, always roughly 95 degrees, and humid. It is loud. The hum is a physical vibration that rattles in your chest. Around you, the walls are made of golden wax. It is a vertical city. You are surrounded by the sisters. They move past you with purpose, their feet ticking softly against the comb. In the absolute darkness, they are guided by touch and smell, a swirling river of life that flows around you like warm water. It is crowded, yet there is no collision, no anger, just the relentless rhythmic pulse of the superorganism at work. Let us change perspectives. Imagine you are a drone, a male bee on a midsummer afternoon. You do not have the burden of work. You step out onto the landing board and launch yourself into the blue sky. Your eyes are enormous, wrapping around your head, giving you a panoramic view of the world. You fly high, higher than the workers, up to the drone congregation area, a specific pocket of air where males gather. You hover there in the warm wind, suspended between the earth and the sun. Below you, the green quilt of the fields stretches to the horizon. You are waiting for a queen, but for now you are simply flying for the sake of flying, a creature of pure potential drifting in the summer heat. Finally, imagine the life of the solitary bee as evening falls. The sun is setting, painting the sky in violet and orange. The air grows cool. You find a large red tulip standing tall in the garden. You land on the petal and crawl inside the deep cup. The air inside is still and fragrant. As the light fades, the flower responds. Slowly, silently, the red petals begin to curl upward and inward. The roof of your bedroom is closing. The light turns from red to purple to black. You are sealed inside a safe, soft capsule. The wind may blow outside, rocking the flower on its stem like a cradle, but inside you are protected. You hold onto the stamen, tuck your legs in, and drift into the quiet, scented sleep of the garden. When the bees consume this honey in the depths of winter to shiver and create warmth, they are releasing that captured sunlight. They are heating the hive with the ghosts of summer days. Every drop of honey is a physical memory of a specific moment in time, a blue sky, a field of clover, a warm breeze, preserved against the entropy of the cold. It is liquid time, a promise kept in the dark that the sun will eventually return. Our journey through the Golden City is complete. The sun has set on the garden, the flowers have closed their petals, and the hive has quieted to a soft rhythmic murmur. If you are already asleep, drifting in the warm, scented darkness of your own mind, then let the silence take you. You have done enough. But if you are still awake, if your mind is still following the flight of the drone or tracing the geometry of the comb, know that there is no rush. The cycle of the hive is eternal. Spring follows winter. The egg becomes the bee. We can walk the path again. We can return to the first flower, to the first hum. Let the familiarity of the story soothe you deeper. Let us return to the beginning. And now the work is finished. The wings are still. The foragers have returned home. The guard bees have retreated inside. The entrance is quiet. You are safe in your own hive. Your breathing is slow and steady, matching the deep, resonant pulse of the earth. There is nothing left to gather. There is nothing left to build. Just the peace of the night. Just the deep, sweet sleep of the garden. Rest now. The golden engine has stopped. Good night.